I'm Manveen Rana here in Cannes, and today we're looking at the evolving role of the CMO. With AI changing the landscape, we'll be finding out how you can stay ahead despite the disruption. And to do that, we're joined by three brilliant women. We have Marie Gullen-Merle from Google, Sanjana Parulekar from Salesforce, thank you, and Jessica Apotheker from BCG. Thanks so much, all of you, for being here. We're really delighted you could join us. Jessica, the impact of AI on marketing feels like it's maturing, but what are the recent innovations that you think are really shaking things up?
Well, I think what is really new this year versus where we were last year is we're really moving from experimentation to at-scale implementation across the board. And you see that in every CMO discussion. Now, in terms of the what CMOs are anchoring on, it really is around three big applications. The one that everybody started with is really transforming the end-to-end content workflow with AI. I think that's where we just started. This one is moving to maturity by now. The second one is really hyper-personalization of the customer experience at scale in a much more cost-efficient way because of AI. And I would argue that the third is really the insights process. How do you tap into new intelligence? And also how do you democratize that intelligence and embed it in day-to-day marketing decision-making?
And talking about how you implement it at scale, how are you doing that at the moment?
I mean, I think at scale starts with baby steps. And, what we're observing at Salesforce with a lot of our customers is that they're starting with a single use case, right? Whether it's ad optimization or content creation. On my team, actually, in particular, we're kind of drinking our own champagne, so to speak, and using our own AI products at Salesforce to make our team's more productive. So an example of that is, very early on when we launched Agentforce, which is our AI agent platform, we put it on our website. We put Agentforce on our website and we thought, what's going to happen? We were open to how that would affect our lead flow, our lead quality, and how it might change our teams. And I was pretty surprised by the results, actually. So, putting an agent on our website helped us realize that our lead flow went down, but the quality went up. So we had better leads coming through the system that were more well-informed, that were not just looking for basic information, but had more sophisticated questions. And my web strategist kind of became an agent manager because he tests our agent every time we launch new products and new web pages. And so I think these at-scale implementations, they start small, but they have really cool and interesting results if you're open to them.
Marie, how about you in terms of actually implementing it?
Yeah, before I go to implementing, I just want to say that the fundamental job or raison d'être, because we're at Cannes, of marketing is saying the same. The job is about connecting people to brands and products. So this is not changing. What's changing is how you do it with more speed, more impact, more productivity, more insights, better measurement. And the ultimate dream for marketers is this right person at the right time with the right message. And this is what we've been talking about for a long time. It's actually something we can do now, start doing now. So then to do that, to get there, you have to experiment and you have to move from point solutions or prototypes to really workflow rewiring, as you both said, to see the full value coming out at scale. So we started with productivity. Every day we can give time back to the teams. So when you work on insights or a brief used to take hours or sometimes weeks. Now you can upload and give inputs into systems. So in our case, it's Gemini or Notebook LM, and digest really good insights, fantastic insights, and get time back. Then you have what we call embedded AI. So you run your campaigns, your media, your measurements, and you have very sophisticated tools and machine learning to predict. So it's really you get into predictive AI. And then there's this third bucket that I call magic.
Tell us about the magic.
Which is the ahas, really like seeing a video created from text. So you prompt text and you create a video that would have never been possible, or sometimes would have taken weeks or months, or sometimes would just not have been possible. Something that's bigger than life. Or you can, in Insights, I'm fascinated by the personas. You can create personas and talk to the personas. You can actually create a Gen Z persona if you're working on a Gen Z campaign and have a conversation with the different personas. In our case at Google, we call them gems.
How much detail are you going into with each of those personas? Is it a Gen Z person from a particular place?
It can be as segmented and as precise as you want it to be.
Wow.
Yeah. And I can go on. And the full value comes into play when you really stack up productivity, efficiencies, automation, and then Gen AI and effectiveness. So you really need all the levers at scale to move from POCs or prototypes to this end-to-end full value of AI, which is very exciting.
Hugely exciting. And when you're embedding this stuff, a lot of it is still experimental at this stage. There will be huge wins, as you've just described. There are also lessons learned along the way for everyone, right? So give us yours.
I mean, I think that not everything is an AI problem. And
turns out,
not everything is an AI problem. And particularly not everything requires an AI agent or Gen AI, or sometimes it's just predictive AI or workflows. And so I think just in talking with customers, I try to sort of keep it very pragmatic with them and almost, have them fill out a worksheet of, what is the role that you're trying to encapsulate with the AI? What's the data you need for that role to be successful? What do you want this AI agent or this Gen AI product to do? And sometimes the conversation ends up somewhere totally different than where we started. And so I think the lesson learned is that, when these new technologies come out, what's the adage, everything looks like a nail when you have a hammer. And it doesn't have to be that way. I think you have to look for the most valuable use cases that are going to actually create an impact, and also be open to them failing spectacularly. Because, on the other side of that is you might have an at-scale implementation that nobody uses. And it might be rolled out very broadly, but the people that are using it have feedback on the user experience. And so what I'll often tell our customers is, if you're rolling out AI, you're now a product manager. And you have to roll out an MVP for your implementation and listen deeply to that feedback, be deeply critical about what you've built, and take that feedback to make sure that adoption is either going up or that you pivot and change the pattern that you've implemented. So there's a lot to learn there.
I also, by now, have really realized, and I'm sorry, this will be a little bit provocative, but how much it is wrong to start with use cases. In that, what tends to happen, I don't know if you guys have experienced that, but if I give you a project I did, for example, we were working on the content workflow, and we're getting excited by individual use cases, like automatic translation or automatic transcreation using AI, recropping. It's like, oh, individually they are great. And every time you were testing it, it's like, boom, 90% efficiency on translation, great. But then if you think of the end-to-end value chain of content, it was only 5% of the end-to-end value. So you're doing 90% on something that is super small. And so in the end, I think what we are by now really experiencing is how much you need to start by thinking, okay, end-to-end, what is the target way that I want the teams to work, and backtrack from that, and then decide what is the right focus, rather than starting with, okay, this is all the use cases that this can do.
I think what you're saying, it's not even that it's not a use case, it's that don't call everything a use case.
Exactly.
Translation is one part, and you should pick a job, pick a workflow, pick a KPI.
And start with the outcome.
Yes, exactly. I couldn't agree more.
It's almost not a use case, it's a feature.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it can be commoditized. And it's almost like back end and not outcomes that you want to focus on. Our biggest learning on our side has been the bar that you set and not having expectations that are too high. The first time you're using any tool, the first time you took a picture with your phone, it was not the perfect picture. So that's a little bit the same thing. And I want to say that, humans can produce very average ads. We were not waiting for AI to deliver sometimes mediocre work. So AI is a tool to set the bar, raise the bar. And you have to practice And so sometimes the teams have the super unrealistic expectations because they saw an AI made video online and they think it's going to be as perfect on the first time. Well, no, you have to train, you have to learn. The art of prompting is really a new skill. How to get to the brief that's going to get to the prompt, that's going to get to the work is also practice. And I do think, and we can get into skills, but practicing how you do it at all levels is really going to be necessary. It's not, AI is not conceptual. It's about doing the things you're talking about.
Before we get to skills, because that is a really vital component, how do you think about ROI from AI? So, for people who are embarking on this journey now, how do you budget for AI pilots, for at-scale implementation? How do you work around that?
That's what
Jessica?
Please.
We're like, we got the cheat code. We just use our own products, and that's how we do it.
So I think it really resonates with what you say also on the bar, that people entered quite a bit the AI journey with totally unrealistic expectations on ROI. Think, okay, this will now save 90% of my time overnight. So I expect 100x ROI in the next 3 months, and it has to be self-funded, which obviously is not materializing. For sure, that doesn't mean there's no ROI from these AI projects. Is that you have to be first realistic on what to expect, put the right level of focus behind it, and also go about the programs in the right way. Everything we have been saying about intentionality, focus, going for the right outcomes, funding the journey so you get there. I do think that companies that have been going through these steps see definite ROI from this. On the productivity side, but also importantly on the top line and effectiveness side. If you go after this only for productivity, you will not materialize the impact that you're looking for. This is not what you need. But also, I think what we had seen in some of our surveys, for example, is very interesting. Most people, when they do an AI transformation, do not track financial KPIs.
Really?
So they actually don't know what the ROI is, because all they're tracking, if they're tracking anything, is operational KPIs. I had a client who was telling me my AI journey is a success because I just put 100 use cases in production. Say, aha, that doesn't tell you what is the outcome. So I think we need to be more rigorous in the way we set up these programs and we track these programs.
And in terms of trying to track them, where are you actually seeing the greatest returns at the moment on that investment?
Well, I can talk about that. So as I said, the job is not changing. Marketing is not changing. The P&L is not changing either. So the P&L mindset is really important. Like anything in business life, you have to have a productivity, efficiency mindset and an effectiveness mindset. So you need to look at both sides. Then what's changing is that the models, the LLMs, or the algorithms, the machine learning that you're using are very powerful now. The state and the maturity of the models that are at our disposal are quite incredible. So you can find a lot of efficiencies and you can drive a lot of effectiveness. The way we think about outcomes, for instance, my measurement team, we do something that's called outcome-based planning, meaning I'm not spending and measuring. I'm looking at the outcomes I want to achieve, and I use AI to predict and to guide the spend. And so that's a very concrete example of efficiencies and effectiveness at the same time. Or, for instance, on the creative side, you can now have a database of your best creative work ever. And not just predict what the next best ad should be, but get learnings and insights and tailor the work and be less blindsided than we were prior. It's P&L on steroids, I would say. But if, to your point, if you just focus on just trying new things, not really measuring the new things, sometimes I call the use cases the cute, but not effective. It's all about the P&L, it's all about the job, it's all about the outcomes and the value. And then you can really, really drive incredible, new, never seen before work, which we're all here for.
And by the way, since this is a session on the evolving role of the CMO, I think one of our key jobs as a CMO is to clarify these outcomes for the teams end to end. What is it that we're driving towards? Align the broader leadership behind that. And because then the AI strategy for marketing will align much more naturally. And that is really what the CMO should focus time on. What is the outcomes we're driving towards collectively?
And in terms of the process, how do you continue to innovate and experiment while you're also still sort of doing large-scale implementation of the things that you've already brought in? How do you manage that process?
I mean, I think that if you're continuing to look at the next shiny thing always and not sticking to the thing that you've implemented, you're never going to see that ROI and value that we're all looking for. So we can't be like total butterflies about everything that's coming through. And I think just on the measurement conversation, right? I mean, I do think it's important to look at the KPIs that haven't changed in marketing, right? Like looking at how we're supporting our sales teams, how we're supporting, the leads that are coming in through our website, and how we're delivering information to customers, and really deeply inspecting how AI is contributing to that outcome. And so I think like just that consistency around the KPIs that you have and how AI is an enabler to, fulfilling those KPIs in a better way is super important. I mean, my boss asks me new questions now related to AI, but related to the same outcomes. Hey, we just launched new pricing. Can the agent on the website answer that question? And I have to be able to defend that answer. And that requires my web strategist, again, learning new skills on testing an AI agent and knowing what an utterance is and knowing how to prompt and knowing how to tweak, an agent that's been built out by IT. And so I think that you really have to stay the course and make sure you're doing what I would call like planned experimentation. Because if you're getting like too much into the ideation phase all the time, then you're not measuring anything. And so you got to kind of like plan the same way that we plan our quarters and our spend, what you're experimenting with to the best outcome.
I love this point about being a detective. I do think CEOs, CFOs, and boards are going to be able to speak to the data, all data sets, and have conversations with agents or different tools. And so the distance between the marketing work, the body of work, a campaign, and the actual decision makers and the folks who are accountable for the shareholders, that distance is going to dramatically narrow down. And so hence the importance for the CMO and all the marketing practitioners to be extremely close to that rigor, that infrastructure, what we call sometimes the boring basics or the brilliant basics. But you need the infrastructure. It's not data sets, just data sets. It's containers of what you want to learn about. And then layering on the data on your work to be able to give access. And by the way, have a very direct dialogue between the marketing team and the executives on what marketing is doing. I think this can be a renaissance for marketing. Maybe I'm getting to your last question. But for a long time, I think it's been the least understood job on the C-suite because there is this mystery and there's this kind of magic that's not well understood. And with AI and Gen AI and all the analytical layers you can apply, the magic can be decoded into ROI and outcomes and shareholder value. It gets me very excited, as you can see. It can be a renaissance for the marketing function.
Well, taking some of the magic out of it, but at least it's sort of something you can suddenly
You demystify it for your CEO, CFO, and board members, and it brings a lot of. It can put marketing at the table in a very different way moving forward.
Yeah, you've both touched on skills, so let's take that head on. How is AI changing the sort of expectations on CMOs and the sort of skills that both you and your teams need to have now?
I think in marketing, there has always been three big type of skill set. We talk about marketing, but marketing is very, very broad. And actually, within marketing, there's three types of skill set. One of them is the one most people associate with marketing, which is art, content, creativity, that part. There's a second skill that is what I would tend to call orchestration. So business management, portfolio management, product management, which is essentially planning, business objective, business drive. The third one is marketing science, everything that is marketing analytics, insights, some of the granular media and web execution that you need to excel. My sense is because of AI, the need and switch towards much more marketing science within teams is really important. And when you see a lot of the traditional marketing functions, they tend to be very orchestration heavy. They will have a lot of the teams that are very generalists, that are product managers, that do a little bit of everything. I think in tomorrow's world, you will need to have both CMOs and teams that rebalance towards marketing science much more effectively. And that's a very big revolution for lots of CMOs.
So I'm going to ask. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to say. I mean, I'm coming from the product marketing background. I don't know which bucket that falls into, but product marketing. And I think that the way I describe the skill sets kind of evolution to my team is that everyone kind of needs to be like a full stack marketer. Like we have full stack developers that understand, the full architecture and how to bring something to life and build it. That's my expectation from my team now. Because previously you'd have, product marketing and they're like, oh, you have any measurement, type of question, go to the campaigns team or go to the measurement team and go here. And I'm kind of raising the bar. I'm not myself, but I'm raising the bar for my team to meet, which is that you should be able to launch a product, understand how it's performing, understand the content plan around it, be able to create some of that content. I mean, you should be able to have some of that 10x output, but also we know we have better access to data than we've ever had before. And it's not perfect, but it's there. And we shouldn't have, a 20-day SLA on getting an insight on a campaign, right? I mean, like that, it's not reasonable anymore. And so that full stack marketer, I think, is the marketer of the future, but also that we need in the present right now.
So I'm going to ask all three of you, for anybody watching who is starting this process, who's perhaps having a few initial successes, maybe some struggling failures, what is your best bit of advice to CMOs who are on this journey?
Maybe I can start. Of course, you need all the mindset of any transformation. So you need to be curious, open-minded. Yes, the function is, I don't want to say disrupted again. There was a digital revolution, then mobile, then AI. It's an evolution, and it's exciting. So I would say the mindset framing, especially for leaders, so the teams can see it, is very important. But this is for any change. What's really different with this one, I find, is the need, especially for leaders, to be super hands-on. I would say get your hands dirty, get in the tools. With my leadership team, we've been doing study halls. So we do the work ourselves, the work that the product marketers are going to do. And so we test the briefing tools, the prompts. We have the dialogue with the insights personas that we're creating. And so you don't talk about AI with decks. I don't want to be the marketing leader with beautiful slides to talk about AI. I want to know about the work, because as I was saying, it's shortening the distance between the outcome and the work itself. So practicing the work, I think, is very important, more than ever.
I totally agree. I think, first of all, there are not a lot of marketers out there who have not started. I think most people have started by now.
Good.
At least in my experience. Question is, not everybody, most of them have not reaped benefits from what they've launched yet. So the question, if you're in that place, is exactly what Mary was saying. You need an AI workout so that you actually practice your AI skills quite a bit. But also, you need focus as a CMO. Think through what are the outcomes you're driving towards. Make sure your teams are clear on these outcomes, that they focus all of the AI experimentation on a few very big initiatives where they're thinking end-to-end rather than going after a lot of different things. Also, don't think just internal. Think about your customer or your consumer. How can you impact their experience and not just the productivity of your teams?
I think for me, it's twofold. The first is just being really deeply critical of the things that you're doing in AI and making sure that they are for the benefit of your team and at the end of the day, for your customer. Because I think that there's a lot of, well, I'm doing AI. It's like, okay, we're all doing AI, but to what end, right? So being really critical of those results is important. But the second thing is to have fun with it. I think the best ideas, the best results come when you're having a little fun. We're marketers, we're fun, right? Like that's our thing. That's our thing. And it's the gig. But I've started, having my team go and build their own agents, using our own products, drinking our own champagne again, right? Like using our products, really understanding how to use other products in our ecosystem. I mean, we're big Gemini users. We love it. We use it every day. And really getting in there and learning together. I think if transformations aren't fun, then they feel like an added tax. And there's an opportunity for everyone to have a lot of fun and also get a lot of value at the same time.
And just finally, given how quickly everything is changing, what should companies be doing over the next year in order to stay ahead, stop themselves from falling behind? It's a tough one. What should they be looking to invest in or grow?
Well,
develop?
I see it as nobody can really portray, or maybe BCG can, with the end state. So the end state, having not an AI strategy, but a business strategy, having really clear value creation goals in your P&L. This is not changing. And then you apply AI to get there. Then once you have defined the kind of ultimately the strategic goal, the financial goals, the one step at a time and looking back and scaling. So this methodic approach of doing something, not staying at the state of use case or prototype, something that works, making sure it works, making sure that you scale, making sure that you can learn about the scaling, and making sure that your organization operating model evolves with it. This is not governance. This is the work. This is the work with your leadership team. This is the work at all levels on your team, and having a constant dialogue. Maybe communications is going to be more important than ever, because the workflows, the nature of some jobs, the upskilling of the jobs, using AI to do the jobs, having agents as part of the team, assisting the teams, not against the team. This rethinking is going to require a lot of communications and probably change management at a level we've never really seen before.
I would say three things. One, don't chase the hype. It's useless. So staying ahead is not about adopting the next gimmicky thing that everybody's adopting. That's totally useless. The second thing is, I think people are not spending enough time strategically to think how their business ecosystem will be reshaped because of AI. Obvious example is you are a retail company. What happens with shopping assistants and who's going to own them, and how that will redistribute the value chain in your business ecosystem. So think through, try to project in scenarios what could be happening to the value chain and ecosystem of your industry, and then think through how you should be reacting to that. And the third is, on that spirit of end-to-end workflow reinvention, I think right now we are stuck in a bit of an imagination gap. People cannot fully imagine everything that we'll be able to do with AI tomorrow. So they're starting from what they're doing and then trying to automate that. Try to push the teams to also create space for creativity, workflow invention creativity, so that you can project in that. That is a better chance to really innovate.
Yeah, and I think every business has to be brave enough to disrupt themselves. Because I think we all like to think, okay, like we're experts in our field, we know how this works. We don't know how this works. We don't. Anyone that says that they have figured out AI or they have the perfect path, they don't.
Lying.
We don't. They're lying, or they're it's a misguided assumption, right? So I think you have to have the courage to disrupt yourself and just stay curious. I mean, you alluded to that earlier. I mean, you have to be curious. You have to always be open to being proven wrong. I mean, we've been doing some of these tasks and these jobs in the same way for a really, really long time. And everything's changing, and it's going to be even more. I mean, we weren't having this conversation 5 years ago. So who knows what the next 2-5 years are going to bring to us. So you just have to have that courage to change, I think.
Well, Sanjana, Marie, Jessica, thank you so much for joining us. It's been such a pleasure to hear from the experts on how it's all going.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Likewise.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.